Okay, what is up, y'all? Will here with Schedulefly, another episode of the Restaurant Owners Uncorked podcast. We're in episode 600 and something now. We've been doing this 15 years and we never get tired of it and learn something every single time. This podcast is brought to you by us here at Schedulefly. Super simple web-based restaurant employee scheduling software backed by legendary customer service. To the point that I have my cell phone number at schedulefly.com on the public website on like three pages. If you're watching, this is my cell phone. If you're listening, my cell phone is a flip phone. And you are welcome to go to that website, schedulefly.com, and call me or text me anytime you want to learn about Schedulefly. So simple software, legendary customer service, and a low price point. We are not, unlike all of our competitors, and I mean all of them, we are not backed by venture capital. We are not owned by private equity. We are not having to meet the demands of the finance bros. So we keep our prices low, our service great, and our software reliable and simple. 30-day free trial. If you are on pencil and paper or Excel, give us a shot. It'll make life easier for you, for your team. Even if people look at it as an employee benefit these days, the young folks want their schedule at their fingertips. They want to be able to communicate easily from an app. So even down to that level, it'll make life easier, save a bunch of time and energy. If you're on a competitive tool, we love our competitors, great businesses. You might very well be paying a whole lot more than you need to for a lot of bells and whistles that you don't use. We would love for you to give us a shot. Again, call me, text me, or run a 30-day free trial. There's no commitment, no credit card, no fee, nothing up front. It's all yours. Give it a shot for 30 days. We have monthly pricing. We don't do contracts. We try to keep things very simple around here, and we earn our customers' business. So that is Schedulefly, schedulefly.com. And this is Restaurant Owners Uncorked. And I am very thrilled to have Chris on here today, who is a customer of Schedulefly, a listener of the podcast, and now a participant. So, Chris, thank you, and introduce yourself.
Yeah, Chris Moran. I own a Bullet Grill House in the big town of Point Blank, Texas. We're about an hour north of Houston, just off of Lake Livingston, so kind of a weekendy hot spot. So it's a nice little area. So excited to be on. We are on Schedulefly, and we are one of the ones that I will say we did switch. We started with Schedulefly. We were wanted some more bells and whistles. Went to a competitor for a little bit. And you're right. The bells and whistles didn't work like the bells and whistles were supposed to work, and we just weren't taking advantage of them. So we came back to Schedulefly a couple years ago. So and been super happy ever since.
It happens. It's happened. I can't tell you how many times. And we always wish people well if they decide they want something different. We're always here to welcome them back if it works out. So, all right. Well, Chris, you've listened to this. I mean, this is we just kind of flow like water on here, right? But the only thing I always ask everybody is I just love the backstory to talk about how and when did you originally get into hospitality?
Yeah, let me. I'm going to take you kind of way back. My first job in hospitality was in an Elias Brothers Big Boy, and grew up in northern Michigan. So started as a dishwasher, did bussing tables, started some prep, some line cooking, ran their buffet for a while, and I just loved it. I loved the fast pace of the restaurant industry, being in there. Really enjoyed it. But I just wasn't planning to make a career out of it at the time. So went to college. Didn't really know what I wanted to do in college, so I kind of fumbled, changed degrees a bunch. Uh, wasn't really. I was in college for 5 years, had enough credits to graduate, just not in any degree field, and was working for a Pizza Hut while I was going to school up in Houghton, Michigan, working for Michigan, going to Michigan Tech, and decided that maybe I just need a break from school, and I'm going to go work for Pizza Hut. So they had some franchises down where I grew up in the northern Lower Peninsula of Michigan, and asked if I could get a job down there, and they had a restaurant down there, needed an assistant manager. So I said, "All right, I'm all in. Let's try to make a career out of this, managing pizza restaurants." So did that for about a year. Got very quickly met my wife. We had a girl, baby daughter. So now I got a daughter, and I'm managing Pizza Hut. I'm assistant manager of the Pizza Hut. They came to me and asked me if I wanted to manage my own. I thought I was going to take over the one I was at, and they kind of changed and said, "Hey, would you be interested in going to Bad Axe, Michigan?" I don't know where I get all these great town names, but Bad Axe is in the thumb of Michigan, and
Bad
it's a
acts.
Bad Axe. Yep, Badaxe.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
it's a little town kind of in the middle of the thumb of Michigan. It's just from the point. There's an old Air Force base. We actually had one of the officers' housing we lived in there, and it was a rough store. It needed some help. So I said, but this is what I want to do. So I went there, managed it for about a year. Wife got pregnant again. I don't know how that happens, but she gets pregnant. About 8 months into her pregnancy, they come to me again and say, "Hey, would you be interested in going to another store?" And then again, this is now, my career. I wanted to be a restaurant manager, and your future ambitions as a district manager. And part of their policy was to manage 3 stores, to be the district manager. And this is my second store, and kind of that was told to me is you got to get through 3, and then you're on the short list to be a district manager. So moved down to LaGrange, Indiana. It was a little Amish town. Again, my wife's 8 months pregnant, so it was a rough little move. It's not
Oh,
the restaurant. They don't have moving companies that do it for you at the time. This is what they'll pay you back for the U-Haul, but you load everything and do it yourself. And with the wife 8 months pregnant, it was a chore. So, but we got down there, we got settled in. Great little Amish town. They had a Dairy Queen, and McDonald's had just opened up um like the 2 months before I got there. So they were all worried about losing business of that. But a nice little town. But so about a month in, we're kind of getting things stable in the restaurant. It's going good. My wife goes into labor. Had a little falling out over the support with my district manager, and really kind of had a moment in my life where I had some self-reflection that, it's hospitality. I like it. This is a great job for me, but is it the job for my family? And now I got 2 kids. I got a boy and a girl, and my wife that I got to support. And you're like, is this really what I need to do to support them? And really some self-reflection. I said, no, I need to take a break. Maybe down the road I can do this again, but for now I need something. I need to go back to school, get my degree, and get something a little better for the family. So went to work in a manufacturing plant that had a tuition reimbursement program. Took me about a year and a half to get my degree. I had a great career in automotive, like automotive supplier automotive for the manufacturing plants, the automotive manufacturing plants, and then uh, I guess and so I was doing well. Little interim in there. We were down in Atlanta, Peachtree City, Georgia, is where I was working. About mid, I think early 2000, 2003 or so. Got an opportunity to come back to Columbus, Ohio, and work, and so took a job there. It was January. My kids and wife were going to stay in Georgia till the school year ended. So they were staying there till June. It was really kind of not a very exciting job. I was a little bored, and noticed when I was out to lunch one day, a new restaurant was opening around the corner, and it was at Ted's Montana Grill. I don't know if you're familiar with them. It was Ted
yeah,
Turner, does a Buffalo
sure.
concept. There was a couple down in Georgia, so I'd eaten in them. I liked them. And I just had that itch to get back into hospitality again. I'm like, I'm going to be here for 6 months by myself, kind of bored at night. So I'm like, I'm going to go apply. Got a job there. It was a startup. It was a great experience to see how a chain does startup, the training, standard operating procedures. Really was and again, I'm having fun. This is what I like to do, where my
Yeah.
my job pays the
This
bills,
is
but this is what I
you
like
got
to do.
you're working during the day
Yeah.
and then you're going and doing this at night because your family's not.
Yeah.
That's very cool. Ah,
Yeah, so it was a lot of fun, but then my wife moves up in June, and I'm like, and we'd kind of talked that I want to get back into the restaurant, probably own something when I retire, and so it was always a kind of that discussion. And then so she moved up in June, and I'm like, I think I'm going to stay working there. I won't work as much, but I want to keep working there a couple nights a week. I like it. I'm learning a lot about the restaurant industry and costing and training and procedures, and so I'm like, I want to kind of keep on. So I kept on working there a couple nights a week while we were in Ohio. Then moved to Texas. I got into oil and gas, kind of stayed out of the restaurant industry. But I said, as soon as the kids graduate high school, graduate college, get jobs, then I want to do my own thing, and well, let's look at buying a restaurant. About 2005, we started really looking, or 2015, we started to really look for a location. We didn't really need to. We both had good jobs. We were doing well. But location's the key. You want to find the right place at the right times. About early 18, we found a spot that we thought we could buy. There were some issues with it, not issues with the property, but it was under with some weird stuff. It was had some back due taxes. There was some confusion over who owned it. Somebody had foreclosed on it. So it took us about 9 months to kind of sort it all out, get all the parties involved to an agreement. Late 2018, we closed on a chunk of land here in Point Blank, 4.4 acres. Nice piece of land, a lot bigger than we want, but we got it for a pretty good price. Started construction in 2000, late 2018. We were hoping to be open by first was late February, and you know how construction goes. The weather's bad, there's rain, there's floods. So yeah, late February was my birthday. We're gonna be open by then. No, it didn't happen. Then we were gonna open St. Patrick's Day in March. Didn't happen. Finally in April, had to talk to the wife and said, I think I really need to leave oil and gas and do the restaurant full time, or we're gonna keep dragging our feet on this, and it's gonna be end of summer before we're open. And right now the summer times, we're in a lake area, so the summertime's the
Right.
time to be here. So left my oil and gas job in April, and we were open mid-June of 2019.
2019. Oh, okay.
Pre-COVID, we had a great summer,
Yeah.
and then got into the winter started a little rough because COVID was kind of breaking out. Nobody was kind of going out. Shut down the end of March 2020 for COVID. April, so we started doing takeout. We also were able to do beer and wine to go. We have a beer and wine license, and we didn't really sell any to go before that, but we're like, well, we can sell it. We got to try to do everything we can to get some income. And boy, when April hit, the phone just didn't stop ringing. Uh, we we had laid off a lot of people, and I kept like a takeout girl to answer the phone and cash people out. We were doing curbside, and a couple cooks, and we almost had to call almost 80% of the staff back because we were just the phone was going crazy. People wanted beer and wine to go. We're like 30 minutes from a grocery store, so we did 30% off like our beer and wine pricing. So we'd sell cases. They were warm. We didn't have a cooler to keep them cooled in, but I'd sell you a case of beer for what the grocery store, a couple bucks over what the grocery store would, and just went through the roof. Yeah, my beer distributor, I called them the next week, and I'm like, "All right, I need a beer delivery," and they're like, "We're not delivering to restaurants." And I said, "Well, you're going to have to deliver to me because we're about out of beer right now." So, and at the end of the month, we look back at April, and we had more in sales in April just doing takeout and curbside than we did in February. So it was pretty incredible. Just the support. And when we look back, what we found out a lot was nobody was going to work. And so a lot of them, Houston people, had come to their lake house or weekend house and were working from home here. So there was not many other restaurants in the immediate area. And we were the only ones doing kind of a curbside and a takeout. So instead of driving 30 minutes into one of the bigger towns, they were coming here to eat. So COVID was actually a little bit of a boom for us. I know a lot of people struggled and hurt, but for us it kind of helped us. And then coming out of COVID, we had a lot of people that had said, "Hey, we tried your takeout. We were dying to come back in and try the restaurant because we'd got the takeout a bunch, and now we want to come in and eat here for real." So it was good during COVID and coming out of COVID. So we've had actually year-over-year sales increases every year since we've been open.
Dude, that's fantastic. Congratulations.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Winding story, man, from Michigan down to Atlanta, back to Columbus. Columbus is like, gosh, the hub of so many great restaurants. A lot of franchises start there and everything. And then they're in Texas. So you're down there in oil and gas. How did you find this town and this place?
I had actually a buddy I worked with had a lake house up here, and we came up and visited him a few times and said, "Boy, this is a great little neighborhood, in a great little side of the lake." And it's the bigger lake. There's a couple lakes closer to Houston that get a little more populated. This was kind of not as built up yet. It's getting there fast. The sprawl moves pretty pretty quickly. So the sprawl's heading north quite a bit now.
Yeah.
And it just was a nice area. I wasn't sure where we're going to open the restaurant, but then when we kind of downsized our house, when we moved up here permanently, I'm like, wow, if we're gonna buy a restaurant, let's get something close, so we're not driving far away and being a distance from it. So again, that's why we kind of took us about 2 years of just searching for land and buildings and stuff to kind of hone in on this location.
So it was an existing restaurant.
No, this is a bare piece of land. It
Oh,
actually
a bare piece. So the ownership, when you were talking about the ownership and who owned this, but it was just raw land.
It
You had,
was wrong. There had been back in the 70s, there had been a little convenience store, and then
okay.
it had a little. We got a little slab up front that it was an office building, and it was a somebody had opened a barbecue place on it for about 6 months. So it had gone through some things in the 70s and 80s, but really like late 90s, I think it basically sat vacant. Actually, the neighbor who's lived on his piece of land for 100 years, his family's owned that. He had actually roped some of it off and had some horses over here. So most people
Oh,
thought it was kind of his land still, until we kind of looked at they call them the CAD maps, the maps that say who owns what and what the taxes
yeah.
are and stuff. And that's how we kind of determined that no, this is somebody else's piece of land, and it just looks like nobody's doing anything with it.
Okay. So then when you were talking about the construction, you were literally building the
Yeah,
restaurant.
we had to bring in almost. It was kind of muddy and mucky. We had to bring in about 2 feet of dirt and rock to
Okay.
get the foundation on, and yeah, we built everything from scratch.
Okay.
In fact,
Oh,
we did a lot of stuff. Probably why we're a little bit slow. We had a guy in my neighborhood was a contractor, and again, it's kind of a rural Texas, so we didn't have any real architectural drawings. I had some hand sketches that I had uh, done a little bit of CAD work, but they were pretty rough. We did a lot of the all the interior stuff we've done ourselves, the walls and run electrical, running the plumbing. We did between my wife and I, we did everything ourselves, and with some help from some other people. But
yeah. Okay. So you saved a ton on that for sure. But
yeah,
so dude, Chris, I mean, clearly you had this in your blood. Like you kept coming back to it. Multiple times, and now you have your own place, and I can tell just talking to you, you're a very happy dude and you love what you do. What is it? Like what is it about owning a restaurant and providing hospitality that gets you up every day and makes you happy to do what you do?
I think first and foremost, and this is every place I've been, is that every day is a little different. You get into some of the corporate jobs, and it's just the same thing day
Yeah.
after day, and it's the same problems, and you're not really solving anything. You're just kind of fighting the fires every day and going through the motions. And the restaurants, even though there are a lot of the same things, but every day is a little different. You get to meet a lot of people. You get to work with some people. We pride ourselves on customer service. There's not a lot of places. Customer service just seems like it's dropping off at a lot of restaurants and stuff. One of the things we really push our servers to be very attentive, to be good servers, and we're not perfect. I'm not going to say that we're the best place in the world all the time, but we really try to be. Uh, we try to be creative in our food, and we have a pretty big menu because as remote as we are, there's not a lot of competition. So we've added a lot of things to the menu. So I think that's good. I got into and we were kind of speaking of the menu, we were kind of trying to figure out, what we're going to do with the menu. So about 10 years ago, I got into cooking a little more and got into green eggs. And I think it's almost a cult of the green egg community. I got into their forum and stuff and went to some of the egg fests. And really, I said, we're in Texas. We're going to open a restaurant. I need to learn how to cook, brisket and pork. And we did a chili. And so, just really got into cooking, and then I needed to cook for people because I was just at that point my kids are off to college, and just my wife and I, and we can't eat that much, so we started hosting people at our house, and we kind of knew, hey, we're going to open a restaurant. I wanted you to try things, so we'd have people over for the games. I'd set up a buffet of food, and want feedback. So I had a chili recipe I've worked on for brisket chili for 3 years probably plus, and just kind of tweaking it, and a little too hot, a little too not spicy. It's got a different flavor, and nailed it down. And it's one of our staples here at the restaurant is our brisket chili. Even 100 degrees here in Texas, and we'll sell a ton of that chili even all summer long. But I enjoyed that. It was nice to kind of entertaining, and even if it's at the house or it's when we open the restaurants. Now my neighbors were a little mad; they had to start paying for their food versus getting a lot for free every weekend. So they've
Yeah.
gotten over that though.
Yeah. Okay. Um, so when you bought this land and then you built this building, I mean, was this all just your funds or did you do like an SBA loan or?
No, we didn't really. I was worried about having a loan payment, so we at the time we cashed in some of my 401k and had some stock, so we basically paid for the land and built everything initially off our own money. So probably the one thing that when COVID was hitting the one, and we've had a couple down months here and there, the benefit is we didn't have a mortgage or a lease payment or anything like that. So it's financially it's helped us stay I think a little bit stronger for the first couple years that are kind of your growing years, and you're buying, as my wife says, I'm always buying too much. You're buying new fridges, and we were growing. So, I mean, we didn't have a walk-in when we started, a walk-in freezer and cooler. We bought those just a couple years ago. So we're squeezing everything into 2 doors and 3 doors and chest freezers and a hodgepodge of things. But again, luckily we didn't have that mortgage. We did an expansion a couple years ago. We finally took out our first loan. So we do have a little bit of a loan now, but it's not too bad, but it's manageable.
You just needed more space, more seating, or more.
Yeah, well, we had kind of futured out that I wanted to do like a private party room at some point, and so we had like off the kitchen there's a dead end doorway, and we had already kind of framed it out and covered it up, but the plan was to do a little like a private party room, I guess is the best way to call it. Then we kind of changed when we started building it. I said I don't want just a private party room. I want kind of a back bar. So now we've made it kind of it's themed like an Irish speakeasy, and it's got a hidden door to it. So we took one of our walls, we cut the wall out, and so it looks like the wall's still there, but you push it in. It's one of those hidden doors where you go into this back room, and it seats about 20 to 30 people. Nice little, we call it McBullets. So it's our bullet grills, our rain name, and then we call that back room McBullets. So now
What
it's kind of overflow or special meeting room. It's worked out well.
what did the name Bullet Grill come from?
Well, when we used to entertain at the house, I was a pretty good Coors Light drinker, and so our house used to be known as the Silver Bullet, and so we were opening here. I'm like, well, we can't call the bar the Silver Bullet. I don't want to get Coors Light to hear their wrath or have any issues with that for trademarking or anything like that. So I said we got to twist it a little bit. So we went from the Silver Bullet to the Bullet Grill. So and it just
Oh,
kind of fit being in Point Blank, and we're the Bullet Grill in Point Blank, and I think most people now just refer to us as Bullets, or we're going to the Bullet, or we're going to Bullet. So it's kind of got a nice ring to it, and it's worked out really well.
yeah. Okay. Yeah, I love that. That's really cool. Well, okay. So amazing opportunity during COVID and being able to provide for people that want to take out. And you've got all the growth coming out there. When you say you're an hour from Houston, I mean, I always think of Houston as like you can drive 2 hours and still be in Houston. It's like so freaking big. Like it's a massive area of land. But are there people that have been or in continuing to move out there because they don't have to commute into Houston, or is this where the commute traffic is coming now because of the sprawl or whatever?
It's a little bit of both. So there's a lake a little closer to Houston, Lake Conroe, and it's probably maybe 45 minutes out, but it's really built out. There's not many lakes in Texas, so Lake Conroe's there's not much land left on it, and what land is developed and prices are skyrocketing. So a lot of people are looking to get out of town. The sprawl is now. I think we lived in the Woodlands, which is a little bit north. It's kind of a north suburb of Houston, is where we lived, and our kids went to school. So for us, it's about an hour from the Woodlands. I say Houston, but that's the north side of Houston. Really, to get downtown, it's about an hour and a half. You're right, 2 hours. Um, But yeah, I just think that sprawl's coming now. It's about 30 minutes south of us. There's neighborhoods popping up in now the next town up north of the Woodlands Conroe is booming. So now we're getting to be where those people, you want a short trip to a lake house or and a lot of people, during COVID wanted to invest. So we've seen a lot of boom, a lot of neighborhoods starting to develop. A lot of the housing market has been really tight up here. So. Um, but it's been good. I think it's a mix of people retiring up here and then people also, just wanting to have a second home.
You've got a lot of land there. I mean, that's I mean, good long-term investment, I'm sure. Do you think I mean, do you need all that land? Or is that commercial or is it like,
Yeah, yeah, we're on a state highway, so it's all commercial. We actually the front part was kind of an open field, so it was easy for us to build on and put our parking lot. The back was kind of a messy forest that we actually cleared out a few years ago. We have an event here every year. We've had six of them. I'll tell a little backstory on that. It's kind of interesting. About 6 months after we were open, this guy came to me, stopped in. He's bike packing, and I never heard of bike packing in my life. It's where they ride and they camp out overnight, and I guess
oh,
sometimes there are races and events, and he's like, well, I want to do this bike packing event next year. And I'm like, all right, we're 6 months into being open. I'm like, I don't even know if we're going to be that all the all the restaurants that closed down the first 2 years. And I'm like, okay, whatever, we'll do it. Calls me a few months before. He says, yeah, we're all good to go. We got about 50 people. And I'm like, all right, that's cool. We'll have a good weekend. We did the first one. Went great. He had two races. These guys, they're miraculous. It's called the East Texas Showdown. It's the main race is 380 miles on a bike, and you can stop, you can not stop. Well, they've had guys that he's got off his bike 3 times to do the 380 miles, and it's incredible. So first year was 50 people, then it went to 100 people and 150, and the first one was in the fall. It's now in the spring. We do it in March. This last March we had it. He had, I think, 210 to 220 riders. He's now got two other races, a Central Texas Showdown and a West Texas Showdown, but we were kind of the leaders of it. So it's a great fun weekend. But I say that because one of the things when we started growing, these guys like to park and camp, and it was filling up our parking lot for that weekend. So we had somebody clear out the back couple acres, and now we get them all. They park back there, they camp back there for the weekend. They can leave their vehicle, so that we get a little bit of use out of the back lot, but that's about all we use it for today.
wait, so bike packing. So, but they still I'm in my head, I'm thinking they've got
So,
like a pack on their bike and then they
well,
camp.
they travel really light, so they do take like a light sleeping bag sometimes and some very light supplies, but basically the rule is you can't really you can't have a support vehicle. You have to kind of ride and be on your own. You can stop at stores and buy things. You can stop at a They tell this story if something breaks on your bike, if you can find a farmer with a welder and you can weld it back together, you can keep going, but you can't call like a bike shop to come repair
Oh,
you.
wow. Okay.
So this year there was actually three races. They call it the showdown's the main one, but there's a slowdown that's 280 miles, and then he did a lowdown that's even 180 miles, which is incredible. That's designed to be kind of an overnighter where they kind of ride one day, they ride 80 miles one day or 80 to 90, and then camp at a campground, and then they come back. But yeah, you carry everything with you, but it's not like hiking camping where you would take like a big heavy duty bag. You travel very, very light. So a light backpack with minimal supplies. You try to plan your stops to get, gas stations, dollar stores to get food and water, and you can stop at any restaurants. I think the last guy that won last year, I think he said he got off his bike 3 times and finished in 30 hours, I think, roughly.
Then that's 380 miles.
380 miles, yeah.
So when they come to your place, they're just stopping overnight.
No, when they come we're the starting and stopping point. So
Okay.
we're the host venue. So
Oh, when you say
so like
vehicles, now it makes sense. They're parked
yeah,
their
so
car there,
yeah,
getting the
sorry,
bike off. Ah,
yeah. So
gosh.
they start coming in. Usually it starts on a Friday morning. They come in at Thursday morning, and then they leave as a group they come in Thursday night, start camping out. They leave Friday morning, and then they'll start getting back Saturday and Sunday. Do a big party Sunday night for them. It's a great event, and well, I tell you, the first year or like year two or something, I missed the mark. We ordered I'm thinking, oh, these are like healthy guys. They're gonna drink like light beers and this kind of stuff. And so we ordered a bunch of that, and no, they just rode 300 miles. They want a carb load. They'll eat. We got these loaded chips that we make that you can pile up with meat and cheese and lettuce. They'll eat a huge one of those and come back, take a nap. 2 hours later, they want a triple burger and fries.
Sure. Yeah.
And so, man, it's great for business. But boy, will they're not in the health kick. They like to eat and they like to
They
have a
got to
good craft beer.
replenish. They got to replenish all those calories.
Yeah, so no, it's a fun time, but yeah, that's yeah, so that their camp they basically park here from Thursday to Sunday, so it made a great with 200 and some participants now. We needed that kind of hidden overflow parking space.
Wow, that's really
We've
cool.
talked about doing a concert or maybe a flea market type deal back there, and so we've talked about doing some things, but we have never kind of gotten it to the point of execution.
Gotcha. Okay.
But it's a good piece of land, so yeah, I'm sure we'll get some use of it soon.
Tell me about, you know, your experience. You had time at Pizza Hut. You had time at Ted's um, Montana Grill. What are the things that you learned? What are some of the key things you learned there that you brought to Bullet Grill House?
I think a lot of is just the procedures, especially with Pizza Hut, because it was a big corporate store. Even back in the day when I was with them, they you got your standard operating procedures, you got your checklist. I liked after being in automotive and oil and gas, and you learn about lean manufacturing and flow, you realize that Pizza Hut was one of the leaders in that back in the day. A pizza line and assembly line uh, is key to lean manufacturing and flow. The way they've got that set up, it's actually pretty impressive to how they
Yep.
got things organized and how the whole process flows. And so I think it was good for both my careers to kind of see that. Ted's, I think a lot of the same. A lot of it was the training procedures, the need to be consistent, and you wanted the same. You want the same on your food quality to be consistent. You want your service to be consistent. You want your servers to be knowledgeable, especially when you got a lot of products. You got to learn how to the suggestive selling, the knowing what your specials are, what you're trying to market, and you're just building a good team environment.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. What's been what's been surprising to you that you maybe had not thought about before pulling the trigger and opening your own place?
I think everybody struggles a little bit with staffing. Um,
Mm.
I think that's a challenge. We've probably stayed a little bit overstaffed, which has been a little bit nice. Not always good for finances, but always a little worried about staffing. And we're in a remote area, so there's not a lot of a pool here. We've done a great job to this point of building a pretty good consistent staff and have some great long-term employees. So that's worked out well. A little bit of the food vendors and stuff. We've kind of bounced around with all the major distributors and kind of learning some of their pricing games, and it's hard to keep them in line sometimes. I think they'll give you a good price on something, but you got to watch them. We've had one that drops the prices, and 3 weeks later, if you're not watching, the prices are back up to where they were. So
Yeah.
it's kind of a challenge to just to kind of monitor that. You'd like to just kind of wash it and let it go, but you lose food costs in a pretty fast amount of time if you're not keeping a close eye on it.
Hmm. Yeah, there's so many different moving parts in running a restaurant. It's a it's a it's quite a balance.
I'd say too, POS wise, kind of like we talked about at the beginning there, where we had Schedulefly and we switched because we wanted bells and whistles, and then we're back now and love it. But we also did that with our POS. I did all my intel and research, and we went with Toast. Toast was good. First couple years, the third year they started having, I think they had some cyber attacks, and got a little frustrated with them, and fell for some fast talking salesmen, and we switched to somebody else, and it was about a miserable 3 years for us, and we just went back to Toast last year. And again, I think I like Toast. They're a little more on the expensive side, but it works well. The staff knows it. It's convenient. So I'd rather kind of stay with the known. I didn't even want to really shop around. I said, let's just go back to them. I know it. I understand it. And for the most part, it worked well. They had a couple hiccups that we got a little frustrated with, but at the end of the day, I think I'm happy to be back with them also.
What were the bells and whistles you were chasing when you left Schedulefly, and why didn't that work?
I just think some of it was the integration with the POS and with the time system, and we could just never get it to work. We had issues with reactivating employees was kind of a pain with the other company. You'd have to call them to get reactivated. We just had hiccups all the time with just the software working like it was supposed to work, and so we seemed like I was always on the phone with our rep trying to resolve some little hiccup here, hiccup there, and it just got to kind of got a little old. Schedify is simple and to the point, but it does the job it needs to do, and we don't have to worry about it. So
I
the
mean, that's our
messages,
goal.
we love I mean, I love the messaging. My staff probably doesn't all the time because I send out the hey, we need to do better. We need to do better messages. So I like that I can send that out to them, and or this is what special we're doing, or what activity we got going on. And so it's simple, but it gets the message across.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we're not for everybody, but we are for people that really just want something that's simple and works. And if you do need something, you're going to get us, for sure. But yeah, there's so much restaurant tech out there now. I mean, there's just so much restaurant tech with so many promises and, so much money flooded in when money was like free for a decade. And, you could raise million. I mean, we could have raised tens of millions of dollars probably to try to grow and all that kind of stuff. But that comes with a lot of headaches and a lot of other things. But a lot of companies did that. There's a lot of stuff out there now. At the end of the day, things that are built well, that work, that have good service, it's just like your restaurant. Like, you show up every day, you execute on the menu the best you can, you take great care of your team, and they take great care of your customers. And even as you said, maybe sometimes you're overstaffed, but I mean, you can measure the cost of your labor, but you can't measure how much it means to customers that come in there that always know that they're not going to be sitting around twiddling their thumbs waiting on somebody to take care of them. And that's the difference between, a first time guest deciding to come back and maybe not deciding to come back, right?
Yeah, yeah, no, you can lose them fast in that first visit you get if you don't make a good impression. And I think we've done we do a fairly good job. Again, we're not always perfect, but we do a great job of, I think, taking care of the guests most of the time. And we've looked at some expansion in some other restaurants, and talked about maybe doing something else. But I've said this is our mothership, and I don't know if I would want to risk stretching here to, if we open another location, then do we steal staff from here, and then you don't want to, you don't want to lose sales, you don't want to lose customer service here to to expand to a new location. So we've had some talks about doing something else, and just haven't really decided that I want to take that leap yet. So we're pretty happy with again, we got the growth opportunities here. We added the back room. I did buy a food trailer a couple years ago, and yeah, maybe not the best decision. We went to some events, and we've done some catering with it, but not really getting the utilization out that maybe we should. But at the end of the day, if we have the right event, we'll take it to it. But but for the most part, we use it for a little bit of overflow and just helping out when we need. We do have an event that we can take it to.
Well, yeah, you've got so much opportunity with that existing space and those events and things like that. I mean, there's so many. I've talked to so many owners over the year that, you know, expanded and then realized later that, and then they retracted because now you're spread across more than one place, and it's hard to keep your finger on the pulse, and versus like really maximizing that existing space and leveraging it fully. There's probably always things you can add, um, and to your existing four walls or your 4 acres, versus all the time and energy it takes to buy or build or go into a new place and hire up and manage new people, and it's an ongoing dilemma
Yeah.
for growth. But do you what is the biggest what's your biggest challenge right now, Chris? What is there anything keeping you up at night?
I don't. I think right now we're again. We talked about labor. You never know, right? The tomorrow you could walk in and a couple people decide that they're leaving. There's always new restaurants opening, moving around. Restaurants opening, closing. So you never know if they're gonna. You always see a drop sometimes when a new place opens a little bit closer. Right now we don't have anybody really close to us, but with the wide audience we have, I mean, we go out 60 miles. People drive 30, 40, 60 miles to come to dinner here. So, if they get something a little closer, they're going to try it. So you always, that's always a little risk when you hear about a new place opening or a new place coming down the road. Um, so probably that and staffing is just the biggest two. And then you always worry about again, the service quality. We're always focused on service quality and making sure that we're taking care of everybody. So.
Yeah, yeah. Um, Tell me about staffing now. What's changed? I mean, during COVID, it was seemed to be kind of hard to find people to work. Although you guys seem to do well then. But has anything changed over the last few years? And uh,
Yeah, I think it just seemed like the labor pool is a little bit lighter. We kind of hoped coming out of COVID when you hear a lot about people getting unemployment and and getting COVID money and didn't want to work. So kind of thought it would free up a little bit, and I just haven't seen that labor pool. We post that we're hiring a lot, and we don't really, sometimes we don't always need that many people, but it's just disappointing when you do some social media posts about hiring, and sometimes you get an applicant, sometimes you don't get any. So you just kind of keep watching that market, and then it seems like once you get a couple people, then all of a sudden people are coming in left and right. So then you get too many applicants, and then you kind of got to decide, what do I want to do? Do I want to overstaff, or do I want to kind of hold and sit and wait? So I think that's always a big balance of what we want to do. So right now I think we're sitting good, but again, you just never know what could happen down the road. But it's concerning, just that, like I said, when you post and you don't get applicants, just makes me nervous when we really do need somebody or need something, that door is going to be closed, and that's going to be a struggle.
you know, I'm really curious what's going to happen over the next few years with college graduates, because there are a lot more people graduating college right now with expensive degrees with no jobs to go along with those. And I think that's unfortunate for those people, but I also think this is just a theory. I have no idea. I have talked to some others that are starting to see a little bit of this, but where you've got people with college degrees that can't get the job they wanted, because like a lot of big corporations are downsizing, they're trying to use AI to replace people, etc. You may wind up with a growing population of very well qualified people, working in restaurants,
Yeah.
because you need jobs. And I don't know. I don't know if that's going to be the case. But as I try to think, where are they going to go? Because that is no doubt the case. Like, I mean, I've got two kids in college right now. I'm already thinking like, yeah, man, like what's going to happen in a few years when they graduate? The job market is not really good for college graduates right now. That could change, but it is an interesting time. I don't know. I'd be curious if you start seeing that.
Yeah, it will be interesting. I know AI is that's kind of leader. We don't use AI much, but that's kind of the way things sounds like it's going to a lot of jobs are transition to AI very, very quickly. Like it's
It,
how you can I think some of the jobs are going to be how can you maximize that and can you the programmers and the things that people that use AI more efficiently, that's kind of where the career I think are going to start leading. So can you take advantage of AI in your own profession?
yeah, yep. And you're seeing it. I mean, you're starting to see it in restaurants too. I think there's a bit of a overabundance of excitement for what it could do versus what it can do. And I don't know. I'm very curious about that. Uh, Tell me about if you, Chris, had a bunch of your customers watching this and listening to this and hearing your story. Tell them how you feel about the opportunity to serve them.
Uh, I think it's great. I think we've first and foremost we have a great customer base. We have a lot of regulars, a lot of people that come. On the weekends when they're here, they're a great customer base. They take great care of our servers. Um, our servers, I think, are well tipped for the most part. So again, we're trying to provide a service that customer service that you don't get anywhere, and I think our customers appreciate that, and I think that our servers appreciate that, and they do a great job of it. But we always thank them. So we've got a great base of core customers, and then a lot of new customers always coming in all the time. So um, I think they're again, it's been a great opportunity to be here. We're growing quite a bit. Next door to us used to be a biker kind of bar that was there, and it closed down before we opened, a few years before it opened. But that's been one of our struggles the first couple of years was convince people that we open more as a restaurant. We're not a Texas Ice House. We're not we're not just a bar. We're not a biker bar. I mean, we have bikes here. We have groups of bikes that come in all the time. They eat lunch and hang out. But that's not. We're a full service restaurant. And again, we try to provide great customer service. We've got a great food selection. We've got a great selection. We are all in beer and wine, but we've got a great craft beer selection. And we partner with some of the local breweries. We do tap takeovers, and we think we provide a great environment for both for families for anybody out there. We're kind of very very diverse, and we think it's a great place to come visit.
You are, and what I would echo or add is you are. This is one of the wonderful things about um, independently owned restaurants is everything you do is for your community. That you hire people from the community. The money your customers spend at your restaurant stays in your community. Um, and it helps enhance the quality of the community. It helps when you have great independent restaurants. It helps increase the value of your home if you own property there because these charming, unique, independent places in any city and town are what make it unique and attractive to others. And so nobody moves to a place because, I mean, forgive me, but like they're not moving because you got Pizza Hut. Like
Yeah, no.
Pizza Hut has its place. Great business. We need Pizza Hut. We order Pizza Hut every now and then. But we didn't move to Waxhaw, this little town I live in, because we had a Pizza Hut around the corner. We moved here because it had charm, class, nice people, and a lot of independent businesses. And a lot of those independent businesses are local restaurants where we go and we say, tonight let's go spend time as a family to celebrate something, to mourn something, to just get out of the house and get away from cooking and cleaning. And where do you go? Like most of the time, if you're in a place that's got really well run, thoughtful, intentional, independent restaurants, that's where you go because you know that you're part of that story and you're part of that community. And that's why you wind up having regulars like you have so many of. They're kind of part of the fabric of, your business, right? Like,
Yeah.
and they feel like they're part of a tribe or a club. And that's a unique feeling that you get with independent restaurants that you don't get when you go to, Ted's Montana Grill. I mean, we've got one. I think we've been once. Good bison, whatever. Cool. But that's not what makes my town great. And not what makes any town great. And as people are moving more and more, they're moving out of big cities because COVID allows us to work remotely a little bit more easily now. And they're moving to outer lying towns where they can live and work. And one of the best things about those towns and why they choose those towns is places like yours. I believe
Yeah,
that.
we always see the people come in and they always see people they know, people that live in the neighborhood. That you don't necessarily get out of your house in your neighborhood, but when you're here at the local establishment, grabbing some dinner, and you say hi to some friends, and you meet new people, and it's a great spot to make connections, and uh, and yeah, and to meet new people, and even then, we even got new people. I tell you, one of the things I think about owning a restaurant that's nice too, and about once a week, somebody will talk to me, or a server will say how they want to talk to you. The first thing you always think is, oh, they had a problem, right? Maybe that's my negativity in me thinking, oh, they're going to complain about something, but it rarely happens. It's normally that, "Hey, we just want to tell you that this is our first time here. We had a great experience. We loved it. The server was great. It was one of the best we've had in a long time, and food was great. And we can't wait to come back." And well, that seems to happen almost once a week that I get. It's still at this. We've been open almost 6 years, and we're still getting those new people coming in that are either just moved here, or they're traveling through, or they're visiting, and that's probably the one of the proudest moments I think you have as an owner is when you walk up to that table and you're kind of expecting the something was wrong or the complaint, and more often than not, it's no, we had a great time, and we really appreciate you being here.
Love it. Love it, man. Chris, thank you. I mean, I want to thank you because I'll tell everybody this story. You texted me one day out of the blue, and you're like, hey, man, you got a lot of people on there lately that are part of big brands. What about the little guys, or something that
Yeah.
I was like, who is this? And you're like, by the way, this is Chris. And I was like, you know what? You're right. Like I'm constantly struggling with this, trying to find the right balance. Cause we get like, I started this podcast 15 years ago. I had to beg people to come on this. They didn't know what a podcast was. Like, why
Yeah.
would I come on this thing? And now everybody knows what a podcast is and everybody wants to be on podcast. So I get these PR firms that are like, hey, will you have this CEO of this franchise on? And, for the last couple of years, I've been like, sure, like I'll have anybody on. And then but now I'm trying to like, this is really, I mean, we built Schedulefly to serve independent restaurants. I started this podcast to tell the story of independent restaurant owners. And so I'm trying to find this right balance of, having the majority of our audience be people that own, that are mom and pops that own one location or two or three or whatever, and then also having people that have grown, because there are those that want to grow and follow that path. Dude, I really appreciate you saying that because I mean, honestly, Chris, the most always to me personally, the most interesting episodes are in conversations or people like you when I get when some PR firm contacts us, that means they've been hired by this company and the person who comes on has been trained, say these things, don't say these things. it's never I mean, it's cool. I don't like, I like doing it and I learn stuff, but I don't have like as much of a just real authentic conversation. And this podcast has always really been like, that's the goal, is just to have authentic conversations so that other owners can be inspired, learn. I have people tell me they listen for therapy because they're like, oh, I'm not the only one dealing with all these problems. At least I know somebody else is. It's not just me, like, so we always want to keep that. But I appreciate you. I mean, it's always like you said, like you want to get feedback, from your customers, and in this case, from your audience, so that like, hey, are we missing the mark, or what are things that we're not thinking about that we should be? So I wanted to thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, yeah, I love the podcast. I've learned a lot. Like you say, you from hearing other people's experiences, you find out where people have struggled, where people have done well, what's been successful, and I think it's a great learning tool, and maybe some therapy sometimes. I agree.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we will keep trying to put out great content. I appreciate this opportunity. I appreciate your business. Thanks for coming back. I didn't realize you had left and come back, so thank you. And I'm going to box up some hats and some socks. Send them down for you and your team.
Awesome.
Yeah. So would you mind shooting me a note with, like, email me the address and everything? I have a list I keep in my email of people I need to send to. If you don't mind, would you send that to me and I'll make
Okay,
sure I get it to the right address, and I'll box those up and send to you.
sounds good.
Chris, thank you, man. For all
Thank
of
you.
you listening, thank you for listening as always. Please give us a rating, whether you're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, if you're watching on YouTube. Get some engagement in there. Give us a 5-star rating, maybe make a comment, because the more engagement this podcast has, the more the algorithm will put it in front of more people and the more will listen, and this will get this great content out in front of more people. So thank you for doing that. Thank you, Chris. More episodes coming soon, everybody. See ya.